So when it comes to Brave New World, you guys have been tracking quotes throughout the book. And at first I was like, just explore the ones that you think are important or that just stand out to you as being something worth maybe coming back to. And maybe you didn't know why at the time, but hopefully as you've read through the book, maybe some of those quotes have more context for you and you're able to maybe think about them a little bit more. I have given you the handout regarding this project at the very beginning of the unit, but this is a video that will hopefully help you kind of understand what to do a little bit more and step you through the idea of a theme statement. So, fictional texts usually convey a theme, which is an insight into life developed through characters, events, and setting. In more mature works, theme tends to go beyond a simple concrete lesson to more of a relatively complex and more abstract understanding about human values. So it becomes far more about the human experience and kind of about the concept of being a person in this world and those types of things. So let's take a peek into those. So we're going to look at the idea of theme versus main idea. So the theme is the underlying message that the author wants to convey, and the main idea is more about what the story is about. So looking at Jonathan Livingston Seagull, the main idea statement versus a statement of theme. As Jonathan begins to learn about flying, his peers become afraid and he is pushed away from his flock. Versus people are more fulfilled when they follow their own path without the guidance of a society. So when we look at these two statements, these two main idea statement or a statement of theme, you can see that the first one has key details from the story. Jonathan, specifically, it talks about how he's flying, it talks about what happens with his peers, it talks about what happens as a result of that. Whereas the second one has more to do with just general humanity, right? So that second one is a statement that could be applied to any text. Whereas if you look at the first one, that's really specific to Jonathan Livingston Seagull. That second one is one that I could, think of, and I could be like, I can think of another movie, or I can think of another book or a video game or a comic or something that I've read or done or seen, whatever, that might actually go with that as well. So that is more of a theme, right? Themes are more universally applied, whereas main idea statements are more topical, connected to the plot of the story or the characters of the story specifically. So we need to make sure that we're careful about that. We're not talking specifically in a theme statement about Brave New World. Also, a theme is not it's a statement, it's not a topic. For example, a theme is not simply love, right? That's a topic. If you were to say Brave New World has a theme of love, I would ask you, well, what is Huxley trying to say about love, right? If you just say the word love or pride or individuals, I will wonder, well, what is the point? Like, that doesn't tell me actually anything about humanity regarding individualism or regarding love, right? So I did provide some topics to help you just get going on the sheet. So you can use those. Maybe you've done some research into the story and you found some other topics, or maybe some other topics that you've seen you can use to inspire statements. Remember, they don't include specific details from the text, and they are subjective, and they can be stated in different ways, right? So there's no like right answer. This is the exact theme. This is the only way that you can write it, and this is the only theme in the story either. One thing that a lot of students end up doing is they end up writing lessons or morals, and those are really fitting for like little children's books, but they're not theme statements. So things like don't judge others, always look on the bright side, never trust a stranger. Those are instructions, right? So make sure that your theme is not an instruction, right? Your theme is an observation, not something that you're telling someone else to do, right? So some things that you guys can use to help you get to identifying what you might think a theme is. Here's a tip for you guys. And if you want, what I would do if you like this next slide, you guys could pause the video here and you guys could use that to help you. So the first step that I think is helpful to figuring out a theme idea is to figure out what's happened, right? Who the people are in the story, where it takes place, when it's happening, what problem is occurring, what did the characters do to solve the problem or process the problem, what happened as a result of the character's actions, and was the problem ever resolved? Once you can kind of identify what the story is generally about, what happened to the characters, what their actions were, you can then start to ask inference questions. So then you can say, well, why did the character say that? Or why did the character do that? Right? What does the character learn when this event happens or this situation is going on? And what do we think the author wants the readers to know about something, right? So once you figure out what's happening, you can start to make inferences about, kind of the point and the ideas of those things. And then in step 3 is where you really get to theme, where you really get to humanity and the human experience. Would you have resolved the problem differently? Why not? How so? What did a character learn that applies to your own life? In what situations would it be easy to apply that theme to real life? And in what situations would it be difficult to apply that theme to real life? So these types of questions can maybe help you. You don't have to do anything with these. These are just there because I'm not, right? I'm not there with you guys to help you or to step through this with you in class the way I want it to be. So this hopefully might help you guys as you move forward. I hate to do this to you guys, but I had to re-record this section of the video. So I'm sorry that the volume or like the sound quality is different. I hate when videos do that myself, so I apologize for doing it to you guys. We're just not doing a Brave New World, and I've adjusted the parameters of the assignment from last year, so it is a little bit different. And so I wanted to make sure that I talked to you guys about specifically the Fahrenheit 451 assignment and not have you guys see one that is from last year. Everything up until this point has been fine, and everything after this point is fine, but the actual assignment is a little bit different. So what you guys are going to be doing is you guys are going to be picking 4 quotes from the book. You should have already been looking for quotes, so this shouldn't hopefully be too hard. But in the end, you need to pick 4. And what you're going to do is you're going to write 1 paragraph discussing each's importance to the meaning of the work and its themes. So I'm going to be telling you guys about an example, and I'm going to be looking at I'm going to look at an example from Brave New World, and I'm also going to look at kind of like the format of what this should look like on the next slides. So some possible topics that I identified that you can form theme statements within. So if you say something like Fahrenheit 451 has the theme of alienation, I won't accept that. That's not a theme that I'm going to accept. That's just a topic. I want to know what is being said about alienation. So these are to help you and inspire you. Again, you can go off of this list. You can do from this list if you like to help you kind of like get on the right track or get on your way. But your task is going to be to include the quote with your paragraph with like a citation, and then afterward you talk about it, and I'm going to show you exactly what that can look like in a second. It'll be submitted as one document just like a regular paper would be, but it's just 4 paragraphs. It's a little bit of a different thing. We're just doing like more of a quote analysis situation and a theme analysis situation than like a straight on essay. It was asked, but the quotes do not all have to be from the same theme. You can discuss several themes inside of your from inside the book if you want. It doesn't matter. You're going to be using 12-point Times New Roman font. You're going to single space and bold the quote and double space the paragraphs, and you're going to include an MLA heading at the top of page 1 only. When I say that, this is what I mean. This is what it should look like when you guys turn it in. You can see that it's got like name, instructor's name, course name and date. That's what I mean by MLA heading. And then this up here is like the page number and your last name. So that should also be on there. But you see this exact formatting. The quote is in bold. This is all in double spaced. That's what you guys need to do. And this is from the document that you already have, and that's linked here today. But I'm going to go over this in the video in a second. And I'm also going to talk to you guys about the example paragraph in a second. Something to recognize, guys, is that the video quality or like the sound quality is about to change into a different way. But also the next things that I do mention has an example from Brave New World. That's because I've never done this with Fahrenheit 451 before, so I don't really have a good example to share with you, but I do have a good example of a Fahrenheit one to share, or a Brave New World one to share with you. The biggest thing, you guys, is to remember that I do not need summary. I need the context of the theme in the book. I need the theme, and it would be really a good idea for you to take the context of the theme and bring it to like the world, like to the human experience. So that's what you guys are about to see. So thanks. This has kind of the format and the example as to what you guys are going to be doing. So when you turn this in, you're going to have an MLA formatted heading. You're going to put your Brave New World quote in bold, single spaced, kind of as a header, so that I'm like, okay, this is the quote that inspired the next paragraph. And then you guys are going to do a paragraph analysis, right? So you can explain the context of the quote if you like, but I already read the story. Don't do a summary, right? I don't need to know what happened. I don't need to know what's going on in that section. It's irrelevant, right? I'm more worried about why it's significant to the novel. And then I'm also thinking that what does that theme connect to the importance of like the human experience, right? So each paragraph should be roughly 6 to 8 full sentences, one paragraph per quote. They can be longer. They may be longer. That's totally up to you. But just make sure that you're being concise. And at some point in your paragraph, put your theme statement in italics so that I can see it. So you're probably wondering, okay, Marcelle, that's all great and good, fantastic, but what does that even look like? So what I have is an example from last year using the format that I recommended, and I've done some color coding for you guys. So this is a sample paragraph from Brave New World. And again, if I'm going too quickly through this, you guys can stop the video and you can look at this, right? But the idea is that you can see there is the quote at the top. And you guys all might remember this. It's when Lenina and Bernard are on their first date, right? And they're talking about they're talking about nature, and they're talking about like the night sky and stuff. And this student from last year, this is a student sample. They identified from the beginning of the paragraph in yellow. That yellow part is the significance of it to the story, right? Why they chose that quote, right? How it connects, what it kind of is communicating about, ideas and things in the story. And then if you look at the purple part in italics, consumerism truly benefits the producers, not the consumers. So that is an observation. That is something that is about like our society, humanity, experience, right? And then in the green, you have the part that it connects to outside of the story. It can give us some insight into why this theme connects to us, right, today. So this is what I think would be helpful for you guys as you go forward.